It means the world to me. And he's sharp as a freaking tack, and he's getting ready to get into this. He bought him a Prentice Buncher just like ours. And Caleb, I'm gonna do a few little things. Now, I'm no professional. I've cut my fair share of trees with one of these, but I ain't, if anybody else tells you something, they're probably smarter than I am on it. But here's the things that I can help you with getting you started. Now, this window up here, in Select Cut Timber, you use the dog piss out of this window. So make sure, you talked about your window being half rough. I'd make sure, you can see out that. But here I'm against the line. You can see a ribbon up there. And I'm looking up these to make sure they ain't got too much forward lean. Because if they do, they can fall out of the jaws pretty easy. Now this is hard maple and my blade ain't the sharpest in the world. But you go in easy. Now you don't have to wholly freak out on your clamps. Because what happens if you pull too hard back on your clamps, you actually bind your saw blade up in the cut. And sometimes you can push off the stump just a little bit to throw that weight back over your shoulder. You want that tree, see we got a hold of him? Now you want that tree to lean back and give just a little bit of back pitch on him because he'll sit tight in your doodad up there. You don't want to carry it straight up and down because your jaw pressure ain't the best in the world. You lean it back a little bit, it'll set back and stay tight in your cradle. Not freaky mounted, but it ain't, you don't move this much now. Alright, let me back up and dump it. And you kind of make slow movements. You don't jerk around. Now, when I first started running one of these sons, I was all off the charts now. I was losing stuff everywhere. But you don't get too crazy. You're getting a lot done anyways. And you're helping. Now, see how he's starting to lean over to my right? Well, I want to throw him over there, so I ain't gonna fight him much. I'm gonna let him. See, he's starting to lean over now. There's that top up there. The top up there is where I want it, so we're gonna let him go. There he is. Now I'm pulling forward a little bit to keep him across the line. It's like when you was a kid, you remember carrying a broomstick around, where you'd hold the stick in your hand and try to keep your hand under it. That's exactly what you're doing here. These trees are just like a broomstick. You're trying to hold that son of a buck up underneath you, In a nutshell. In the tops, now if you go to lose one, you don't lose it like in a half a second. Everybody's like, clamp it, clamp it, clamp it. You ain't freaking out on the clamp pressure because when you clamp, as you're going in too much, you'll pull back and pinch your saw just like a tree sitting back on your chainsaw. You know how that feels. Oh, Caleb, he's cut a lot of timber, that man has. And he's good at it, too. And let me tell y'all something, all you naysayers out there, when old Caleb figures out how to run one of these son of a bitches, he'll be able to teach all of us a thing or two. Now here's that, now that one's leaning, you see now that top's leaning out pretty hard? So you're kind of putting English on him. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to push that way and contradict the way the top's leaning and get him slid between these two trees. You see how ridiculous that is? Now I already cut the bottom side because this is a pretty good sized poplar tree. As I come in, I'm going to put some English on it as I'm cutting and use that side of wood over there to hold that tree up while I put a little English on it. And then that's what makes this cutting with one of these rubber tire machines so damn fun. It's because it's kind of like hand cutting. You're still using experience and putting English on them and stuff. All right, here we go. Now this I can't hardly tape, but just know that that's the hole we're going through. It's in the sunlight's all over me. But we'll tear into it and see what happens. Boy, this is gonna be a challenge here, boys. He's got enough. Oh, Lord, that tree's a hard leaning son of a bug. Let me get a little different angle on it. So I'm basically gonna be pushing against him, and as the tree tries to go, he's gonna try to take my machine over, and I'll fight him until I think I got him one, and then I'll start letting it go. It's basically what's gonna happen, but I can't show it all to y'all very good. Come on, come on, come on, you got it, you got it, you got it. Roll, baby, roll, baby, roll. All right, bro. It broke. son of a butt. I broke that tree off. I almost had it. I had him down to rolling. Well, he left a little snag holding, but it's junk. But I was trying, man, he was a bad one. And I almost had him rolled out of this other one. Now you can use this thing if you lose your grip, or loosen your grip. You can give him a little push and help him roll, kind of like when you're cutting timber off the stump, you know. But the good thing about this thing is just because the tree's going over don't mean your job's done. You can fight that thing, manipulate it, let your grip loose a little and push, and that butt will roll up inside. All that steel's all scoured and smooth, you know, so it'll spin inside that steel, and you can make the treetop do what you need it to do. Now we got some pretty good sized red oak cut up there, and I'm going to cut some big ones just to let you see them hit the ground. I tried to cut a big one for you the other day, and that didn't go worth a hoot. I am rusty on this thing. What you seen that? I used to feel like I was pretty good on it, but either I was full of shit or else I'm just getting rusty. Now, you can look up there and see that great big red oak top. He's leaning back away from me a little bit. I don't know why he's leaning down this hole, because I'm actually downhill from it, but he's not. Now him, he's a big boy. He's taking up the whole head down there. If I can get my skis in there. Well, I didn't go in very deep. Let me get down from this other side and I'll take you a little deeper. Yo, baby. Back down in there. There he is coming on. Oh, that's a big old tree. A little bit bigger than I should be pushing right here against this neighbor's line. But we're showing off. Usually when I show off, that's when everything goes wrong. But it's kind of awkward. I'm down the ditch. Let's see if I can get this one. Come on. Beautiful. Good cut. We got a good cut tonight. Well, we took a whole, well, I think we're spinning stuff here. Well, come on. I don't know how all these others are built, but Hydrax has got a button right there on your gear shift. You can crack that bad boy and there's your whole time drive when you kick that in. Tried to half-ass make this not boring, but I don't know how to. There it is. Now see, I'm just making a mess out there. Which hand cutting, you think, what the hell is that guy doing? But that din, I'll just come in the top and start plucking them out of there. It won't be no problem at all. Now, see that chunk holding there? I don't think I'm going to hit him from this side. I think I'm going to use that for a little bit of a hinge. And I'll tear that little side out when I get it going. There he is. It's a pretty big old chunk. I should have zapped him just a hair, but I'm not going to. We'll see if that works for me or not. Boy, it's going to be close. I'm going to tear just a little bit of wood on that. But against the line, I'm going to use that for my advantage. Which it ain't really leaning across the line. I don't really need that chunk of wood. But I'm going to set this down. Here we go. Now, when you come into treat or cockeyed, you ain't got no choice but to tilt that head back just a little bit and set it down and get that saw in first. That's just life. But that's how you deal with that. So we're not, which is not good because we're on a line tree, but that's just what we got to do. Now, I went all the way in. Now what I'm seeing here is I'm watching this tree. I'm going to see if this son of a bitch sits back on me, and he's not. He's hanging in there. It should mean he's got a pretty good amount of wood holding. So I'm going to fumble around here and I'm going to break him off and let him fall on top of me. That's what I'm going to do. Let me get back up here. We got this tree almost cut. Come on, you son of a butt, pull up out of this ditch. Come on. in. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of that spur off so I can get in there a little deeper. And I think that'll be enough. Rock on the stuff a minute, and I'm going to take him forwards and not really push him hard, just see what he does. And I'm going to get back down here and get back on that spur. He went down, he wasn't pretty, and I sure did rip a chunk out of the spur. But let me tell you boys, that's a big old tree be screwing with the buncher on the line. And yeah, I pulled some out center. I made him look like shit. But he's down, and I'll clean him up with the din. But you can see down the center there, I had a little too much holding yet. But daggone that spur right there, with that spur and them spur roots like that, I shouldn't have tied into that sumbitch anyways. But it's got some shake in it and stuff. I ain't that concerned about it. And here's a decent sized hickory next. And the top lean is back up the hill. He's leaning towards that pond there. So we're going to come in deep from the front because he's hickory and we know he ain't going to break off on us. And then we'll come in the back and go deep, and we should be punching. Oh, there's a tree back there. We'll just punch this one twice. Now here it goes. Pretty damn deep with this one, but he's a hickory and I feel we'll be alright. Well, the reason I went a little deep there is to make sure, since it is hickory, to make sure I'm going to go all the way through it from the backside. Now, that tree's got a decent amount of back lean, so when I go into it, I'm going to make damn sure I got my arch right to where I'm putting positive persuasion on him as I come in. And I can't get my angle right, and that line's right there, so I'm going to take this little ash tree out. Hell, that son of a bitch be dead. Well, it's dead now. Oh, it's an ash board. I'm going to take this little ash out so I can get my butt back here. And you got to watch, you get to moving shit around, you can break the tree you're trying to cut and bust him loose on you. I've done that a plenty. Alright, now I'm going to put my ass right back there where I can get in there and push him right. Now, we got chains on ours, and I highly recommend them. These damn bunchers, they're pretty much worthless if they ain't got chains on the front of them. And I know chains are high maintenance. That don't mean I like chains. I damn sure don't like nothing about chains. But when it comes time to go, it's time to go. Alright, here we go. Now, I'm taking an extra second to make sure my pitch is right to where I curl this tree forwards as I go. Now, with my head being off, I'm going to kind of be pushing him across the line. So what I'll do is when I get him loose from the stump, I'm going to cut the wheel over here and push forwards as I go. So that way, as the top starts losing it over the line, I'll cut my wheel and try to shove him that way and then push him in. And I can't really show it, but that's what's getting ready to happen here. You can see. It's going beautifully. There, it even rolled in there, baby. There's a stump. I pulled a little spur up out of the ground. But that positive force, if you keep that positive force going, You'd be surprised, he'll pull shit up out of the ground and you won't pull it up off your tree. Now, here's a tricky one. See all the forward lean on him? I'm gonna cut him off slick over top of that lake. Which with the din I could damn near just throw him in that pond. It ain't no big deal, but for you know, clean water act stake or whatever, you know, all that cool mess there. Well, now what happens is if I start to lose him off the stump, I'll try to raise just a hair and push this butt out and just try to drive into it and get that top, just like the broomstick, you know what I mean? Now this time I'm gonna try to get my arms to grab a little bit as I go. There, beautiful. Now wait for the rain. You cut one of these dead ash, you can expect rain down the machine, so you gotta kind of watch that shit, because I tore off hoses and everything else when I first started. Pee-wee was smarter than that, but I wasn't. Now I'm gonna turn this bastard around. Now a tree like this, you can carry that son up around all day and he ain't gonna hurt you none. Now, when you got a rubber tire buncher and you ain't got a leveling cab, see how the trees are leaning off to the left? I'm gonna run up on this stump and pull it off to the right and use that for my twisting. Use your diffie lock. That's where the chains come into play, because that chains will get you up on that tree. There it is. See? He's a turning, he's a turning, he's a turning. I'll let him go just a little bit, but now I'm gonna let him go. There he goes. Booyah! And then all I did use that tree down there to give me a little bit of persuasion to, that's my vertical tilt or whatever you call that. I got one more big black oak we'll do, a decent sized black oak. We'll do that one more and I'll shut this off. That my video's already 18 minutes long. There goes Big Daddy. There's 3 skidders getting out the back. We had one hell of a day yesterday. We got out today. We logged 15 loads, no cheating. We logged 15 loads. So we trucking today to catch up what we got out yesterday. Alright, here's a big old black oak. And you can see just on my, there goes Roger Dodgy. They're pulling off the back end, some pretty good looking stuff. That's some of them big red oaks. Okay, now here is just about too big to fit through the skis. So we're just gonna go in about right here. Now I did a cardinal sin of timber cutting. I didn't judge the lean for a bit in. If you look up, he's leaning out the back corner towards me. And the back corner's where I got my holding wood. You don't want, you know what I mean? There goes the junkie. Man, it's nice to see them 640s running like that. Alright, let me get back here. I'm only going to try 2 passes on this red oak, but this red oak needs 3. But with the way I didn't judge my lane because I was talking, playing, watching skidders and stuff, I got the wrong wood holding first. So we'll see how this goes. But he is leaning back to the left a bit, so I'm going to sneak up here and look around this corner. Yeah. Let me come back in and hit him from the other side. This process goes a lot quicker when the guy ain't talking on the camera and stuff. So anybody that's hand cutting out there that's gonna say, well, you can do that about as fast cutting my hand. Well, you ain't never got to sharpen this. This thing puts the trees exactly where they're going. I mean, there's a lot of good to be said about a feller butcher. A lot of good. And I was a hand cutter. I still am proud to be a hand cutter, but as a hand cutter that ain't never been around to dispose of a buncher, you don't know the benefits of the buncher until you have a buncher. And then you find yourself asking yourself, what the hell was I thinking? Okay. There we go. You can't quite see it because my windshield's dirty, but we got a little corner depth and we're going to cut this one off clean, boys. And this tree is at least it's a 400-foot red oak tree anyways. Didn't grab it quick enough, but it's all right. Oh, baby. Knocked the top out of the maple tree because I didn't grab it quick enough. And that was just operator error. That's the only way you look at that. Operator error. Now, I like cutting with the buncher, because with the buncher, you can roll these trees a lot better than you can off a hinge, even if you just use a corner hinge. But I mean, you got to be focused and do your shit right. But at first, when you first get a buncher, you don't see the benefits of that, but you see them after you get decent on one. That the canopy all looks good. Now, we cut the piss out of this area up here. That area had the piss cut out of it. You can't see because of the sun glare. That was almost a clear cut down there. And look at how good the canopy looks. That's rolling them in there with this machine. That's what's doing that. You can hand cut, you can be a good hand cutter, a damn good hand cutter. You can't make them results because your trees can't roll. You can't back up and carry trees off and put them in a different spot. I mean, there's just benefits to. Now, the only thing that gets a rubber buncher is when the ground gets, like ground conditions and or the trees just get too big, then you run into issues. But now, the part that I never understood going into is the tree too big scenario. That's a lot bigger scenario than I thought it was. This son of a bitch should take in pretty good sized timber now. Now, if I get on flat ground, I can take down some monsters if I get around them, you know, on a hard cut, you know. But what you can do is you can cut all the littler ones, and I'm calling littler ones, all about 400 foot down trees, and then you come over and get your saw, and you clean around the big ones. You get the shit out of the way so you can safely cut the big ones without getting smashed. And you can come in there and you're basically cutting it apart when you go to cut the ones that's hand cut trees. So there's just a lot of benefits to it. Alright, now I'm gonna cut these two maples, I'm gonna shut it off. So now, you talk about, well, you're circling trees, how can this be fast? Well, now imagine you're cutting the whole cut line up. Now, I just knocked the bottom out of these two trees, and if I wasn't holding the phone, I didn't have them both on the ground. But when you turn around, you grab one, you drive over and set it beside that one, and you come in and grab that one and set it beside it. And then you got two trees, you got a drag already set up, pointed the right way because you got mechanical advantage, taking them out without disturbance to the standing trees, you know. It's just a win-win-win, you know. All right, here we go. This is about a 250, 300 foot maple tree, and I'm walking all around with him. It's a 250 foot tree anyways. And I mean, it's a hard maple. And he got a full top in it, and I'm just driving around with him. Now, I'm gonna try to get him leaning, get him a little positive persuasion. I'll loosen up my grip a little, and I'm gonna play around with him. I'm trying to get him to lean to my right shoulder. There it is. See that? Now he's leaning for me. Now I'm going to drive him in here. Now he's leaning, and I'm going to throw him over my shoulder. Got to let him roll a little bit because he got to bounce off the standing one. There he is. Right there. Booyah. Now I'll put that maple. Hey, cut that out. I'll take that maple and I'll put him right down beside him. We're 25 minutes. I know it's a long ass video, but I feel after what happened to Josh, I feel and Caleb getting into it, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to kind of show everybody what to do with one of these. Now, if you're in bad ground, now if we was farther north in my state, where the ground's steeper, it would be track machine all the way. This here system wouldn't work in the northern part of my state, but we got enough easy laying ground down in my area. See, he's right beside the other. See there? Now hand cutting, you can't do that. That grapple steer back up there, grab both ends, boom, he's gone. And all you did was before it hit the ground, you put him right.